eBay has quite a unique set of challenges as a publisher. You know, we are an e-com business first and foremost, and so our buyer and seller experience is really paramount to our success as a business. Now, when we introduce ads and in order to get that ads revenue, that ultimately impacts that user experience. So we have to think very, very carefully about how we balance those two. And as a result, we have to make a lot of very strategic choices around ad tech specifically in order to enable decent programmatic spend. The problem with having a core business that's not ads revenue is that we have to build a lot of our own ad tech ourselves, which becomes difficult when you have to make long-term decisions on which partners you want to integrate with, and then ultimately the market can shift one way or another, and then you lose the ability to monetize with that partner, and ultimately that creates major challenges because you've invested a huge amount of time and resource, and it creates a lot of churn. So we have to think a long way ahead in terms of our programmatic roadmap, and we have to try and navigate some of the bigger issues that ahead of time, because ultimately they can massively impact our ability to deliver innovation. I think with the advent of header bidding, that really opened up a lot of revenue opportunities for publishers to start introducing more and more partners. And that in itself brought a lot of inherent problems when I think about site speed and latency of having a whole ton of different partners that we now have to do cookie matching and all sorts of other things with. We've got to manage a huge ton of additional relationships, and that's problematic for a very lean business like eBay. So, you know, when a partner all of a sudden has a massive shift in public perception, that can be quite problematic for us if we've put all of our eggs into that one basket. So managing all of those different partner relationships and the longevity of which ones we want to go deeper with and lean in with, that changes massively over time, and we have to be very, very reactive to what's happening across the market. Well, the demand side is kind of everyone and everyone. We still have the same, you know, we maybe have some bigger competitors to our core marketplace that we wouldn't necessarily work with, but those partners we still have to have meaningful day-to-day relationships with, and we have to figure out what the best channels are for them, because there are so many different routes to eBay inventory. So things like supply path optimization are becoming increasingly important to help navigate the complex and convoluted different routes to market, which ultimately, some of which drive great value, some of which drive less value, some of which have a lot of hidden fees. So I feel like that's playing out a lot more in 2018. Yeah, app is a huge focus area for us going into 2019. We have a fantastic app which is becoming increasingly popular. A huge amount of the transactions that we do across eBay are in app, and they're only moving in one direction, and that's away from desktop. But with app comes all sorts of other challenges. So if we think about, again, speed and latency, we can't have multiple SDKs across our site, which really limits the partners that we can work with. We also take a much more conservative view around web views. We don't really want to give control or potential security issues to, you know, and open that up to some of those buyers through the programmatic pipes, which could come, you know, from any different type of advertiser that all of a sudden will redirect to another page or another app. So as a result, we don't run web views, which means we don't actually run IAB formats currently. So when we think about header bidding solutions in app, a lot of them aren't really geared towards native, which is where we play. So again, we're quite limited by the demand that we can have across the app space. We also haven't necessarily found any really interesting, meaningful formats that don't impact the user experience too much in app, and so that's again a major focus for us going forward. One of the things that I've been very pleased to see from the IAB recently is how they're thinking about better auditing viewability partners and bringing some consistency across them. We're now working very, very closely with Integral Ad Science, which is a great partnership, but ultimately that's going to mean different results to a lot of our buyers that are using different platforms. So I think I really applaud the IAB in their effort to try and bring some consistency across the market. So I hope that that's one of those things that we'll kind of look back on and laugh. Another one of those areas that I think will fail to be an issue going forward is around cookie matching, specifically around things like the ID consortium and this universal concept of a universal ID. At the minute, we could be firing 60, 70 cookie matching pixels across the site, and we don't really have great control over which ones we want to enable and which ones we don't. And we need to work very closely with our SSP partners going forward to start to limit those. But hopefully things like universal ID will start to eliminate those problems. And again, I would love it if those are one of those things that we laugh about in a couple of years' time, where we had to do all this pixel matching in the first place.